The Last of Us video game released on PlayStation 3 in June 2013 by publisher Sony Interactive and developer Naughty Dog. Shortly after release, it received critical acclaim for its story-driven gameplay, graphics, sound design, score, and among other things, its zest for being able to make people feel true emotion that only movies and music had previously done. In its first week, it sold 1.3 million copies and has gone on to sell 37 million copies worldwide. It has been considered by many as one of the greatest video games ever made. After several successful remasters over the years, The Last of Us is poised to take over our TVs with the release of the TV show on HBO Max. Will it enjoy the same success? It has already enjoyed the second largest debut behind House of Dragon with 4.7 million viewers for the first episode. But does this mean it's any good? We will find out at least for the interim with this review of the first 2 episodes. Hi guys, welcome to an Into the Void review of The Last of Us on HBO Max. I just thought I'd share with you my feelings on the first 2 episodes of The Last of Us. First off, let's get to the point as far as my feelings, and that's that overall, I enjoyed the first 2 episodes quite a bit. So, I think the second one I enjoyed more, but the first one was good. It did a good job of setting up, the world of The Last of Us, and I think first off, I think they did a great job of translating the video game, the world of Last of Us from the video game into the TV screen, and making a show that is very faithful to the video game. And I know some people will prefer certain ways when you're adapting a game to the filming part of a show or a movie, and a lot of people will want it to either be as faithful to the video game, or maybe not so faithful, not so rigid to the original formula. They might want something that's more going outside the box, maybe showing more of what the video game doesn't show, maybe giving us more of the world, but not exactly what we've seen before. So Last of Us is basically a faithful adaptation of the first video game. And I have to say that I think they've done a really good job. I think it helps that they have the same people who are involved, such as Neil Druckmann, who is involved obviously with the video game. He's directing the episodes. I'm not sure if he's directing all of them, but I know he directed the first 2. So that helps a lot, because he would be the person that would know exactly what he wants to be conveyed on the TV screen. So I think that helps a lot. And I think secondly, it helps that they have really good actors that people care about. Pedro Pascal, who's, I think he's a great actor. I think he's done great with, The Mandalorian. I've loved him in a lot of the movies that he's done. Actually, where I first was introduced to him was through Narcos, which he was excellent in. And that's where I first saw him. So I think, it helps to have him. It helps to have Bella Ramsey as Ellie. She was in the Game of Thrones. So, that she did a good job in that. She was this spunky
the honorable
queen.
Man. I was his steward. In fact,
I think we've had enough small talk.
I think it was
Why are you
House
here?
Belmont, I don't remember. but I think she did a really good job, and I think she has a good pedigree with that show, so I think that translated well to this one. But really, I mean, I just think that helps. And then you have great supporting actors. For instance, the person that plays Tess, she does really well. I think Anna Torv, I think, is the actress. So in Tommy, the person who plays Tommy is really good. So yeah, I mean, it helps a lot that they have those actors there. That helps too. And okay, now they put also, as I've heard, I think they put a lot of money behind the show, and it shows because you can see they did a good job of adapting the look of the video game to film, and it looks really, really believable. It I think they translated the look of it very well. And if that wasn't done, then people might have a hard time of getting lost in the world if it's kind of doesn't. If you're gonna go down the path of adapting something and being faithful to the original story, and you're gonna really follow the story in the video game, you should really make sure that it matches what's there in the game, and they did that. So I applaud them for that. On top of it, they're also fleshing out a little bit of things that happened before the infection destroyed the world. So they're showing a little bit of backstory on that, which you don't get in the video game. So that's, I think that's appreciated. So in the first episode, you're introduced to, Joel and Tess, well, not Tess at the very beginning, but I mean in the beginning, before all hell broke loose. You're introduced to Joel, and you see the dynamic he has with his daughter and with his brother, and I think it's you can tell right off the bat the acting is top notch, and if the acting is not there, then that hurts it. And no, the acting was great. So you got that. So once I started watching this, I could tell. Even my wife, who watched it with me, she said you can tell that the acting is really good, and they did a good job on that. So it's that really helps for your show to do good if you can really have good acting, and then you need the story to get you involved, and I think they did a good job of that too. It's believable when Joel's daughter dies in the first episode. You can feel it. It's heartfelt. It's earned, and it's as emotionally resonant in the show as it is in the game. And then you see, they didn't just end it there. The first episode's like over an hour long, and I think that was good because they could have just ended there after Joel's daughter died, but they went further, and we're introduced to Ellie, who can tell she's been through some things, and we're introduced to the fact that she's being held by these by the Fireflies. Not sure that's who it is. I'm a little rusty because I haven't played the first game in a long time, but in the show I believe it's the Fireflies, the mercenary people that are holding her, and so they know that she has been bitten and that she's immune to the infection. So then after that, then that the show moves 20 years in the future after Joel's daughter dies, and you see him having to still trying to deal with that after 20 years. You see him dumping children's bodies in fires. It's dark stuff, just like the video game. So like I said, they're not pulling any punches on the show, which is nice. So you're introduced to him 20 years later. You're introduced to Ellie. That's basically what the first episode is. It's basically an introduction to them meeting, and then also Tess too. Joel and Tess trying to get in contact with Joel's brother. They're trying to do that, and they're hoping that Ellie is the key for them to get to him in Wyoming. So I guess that's where his brother is in Wyoming. So then basically that's that first episode is all set up. They end up killing a security guy or officer, and that's basically where it ends. And then in the second episode, which I think it kicks it up a notch, we're introduced to. We start out in 2003 Jakarta, before the viruses hit, or right as it's hit. Basically, it shows the beginnings of the cordyceps infection, where it originated and all that. You see that, which I don't believe the game ever tells you. And I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, because like I said, I haven't played the first game in a long time. So my memory's a little fuzzy on it. I know little bits, the important things of it, but not the details. Yeah, and then so that was fascinating to see where that all began. And when the professor who they talk to and find out that if there's a cure, she says no, there's no antidote to it. And of course, you're not really, it's not explained why, but at least you feel the hopelessness of the infection that has spread, and the fact that she's like, you need to bomb the city is what you need to do. That's the only thing you can do. It shows how dire things are in this world. So that was I think they did an extraordinary job in that for the setup of the second episode. And then we end up basically following Joel and Ellie and Tess as they're starting out on their journey, and they have to go through a museum and finding a way through, to get to where they need to go. They're trying to figure out the long way or the short way, and it's pretty cool when they're on top of a building and they see at the bottom how the infection works is whoever's infected, everyone, all the vines or whatever the spore, they're connected, and they work as a hive mind basically. So if you're all connected, so if you kill one over here, they're gonna know, and then you'll alert them, and then you'll bring the whole herd of them. If that's the danger of these things, which is pretty interesting how they introduce that in this show. And from what I've heard, I know there was from reviews I've seen, I know how and just information on this show, I know that they ended up ditching the fact that the infection is spread through spores because, of course, if it's airborne, that's it. So I know, and then they didn't want people, the actors to be in gas masks and, because then you want to see the actors and all that. So I thought I can agree with most people and other reviewers that was a good move to kind of ditch that aspect of the infection. So that was pretty good move on the part of the showrunners to get rid of that aspect. So also so they ended up, I know if you're watching this, there's obviously, I'm talking all spoilers, but you should know that by now. This ends up being the last episode for Tess because, I guess she gets bitten, and then you find out, at first we're not, something's wrong, but later in the show you find that, Joel and Ellie find out she's bitten, and then when they get to the museum and they end up shooting someone who's infected with the infection, and they end up alerting all the other infected. But actually, I'm skipping a part which is very important. Before that, when they're going through the museum, the clickers are really cool, and they did a really good job of portraying the clickers. The clickers are just like in the video game, and that was the part where I was wondering how would they look. That would convince me whether if they did a really good job on that, that's something that'll pull me in. I like, you gotta see what the monster looks like, and that was big when we finally get to see those things, and they're clicking, and they'll stop, and they're clicking, and they're like just listening or just trying to find Joel and Ellie and Tess when they're hiding. That scene in the show was really cool. Yeah, it was tense, and that was what I think that's the thing that got me believing that the show should be. I think there's still several episodes, of course, but I think it's going to be good. I think that got me invested when I saw how believable and how actually I thought the clickers were really cool. If you can get the main villain or whatever is the monster of a show, and you can really make it scary and something that scares you, and something that is true to the nature of the source material. That really helps in getting you invested in this show, and I think that's what helped me, seeing how well they did with the how they made the clickers look, and how they behaved, and how scary they were. So I thought that was cool. I think they did a really good job there. So that another plus to the show. So they got the look, they got of the clickers, the world, the actors are portraying the characters of the video game very well. Even the side characters, the actors that are playing the side characters are doing a great job. Just, it's all good. I can't say a whole lot bad. So I'm right up there with most people that I'm enjoying this series. Still, there's plenty of episodes to go, so this is going to be running till March, so we still don't know everything. A show could dip in quality, maybe at the middle or the end, but so far it's started off really strong. So I'm excited to see where the show goes. far as any other things I can say, I mean, like I said in the second episode, when we go back to looking at that episode, Tess ends up, so when that scene when they're in the museum and they're trying to avoid the clickers, that was well done. The scene was probably one of the best scenes, probably the best scene so far of the series that I've seen so far. And then later on, you find out that Tess got bitten, and then she ends up sacrificing herself when they get to the place where the camp of, I guess it's the other Fireflies, they're there and they're dead. When they get there and they end up shooting one of the infected, and then it brings all the other infected to them, she ends up sacrificing herself and tells them to go, so they leave, and she ends up trying to light. That scene was tense too. She's trying to use the lighter and trying to light the gasoline that she's poured all over the floor and trying to light it, but she can. You have this mob of infected coming, and she's trying to light it, and then finally they're all coming through, and she's sitting there off to the side, and they're just running, and one sees her and then comes up to her, and then the spores come out of his mouth. It's pretty cool, and into her mouth, and she finally gets it to light. She drops it, and then the museum blows up. So that was pretty cool. And then basically that was pretty much the end of that episode. So that was, so unfortunately Tess is dead, and I think she did it. I think I'm trying to look at my cheat sheet here. Is it Anna Torv who plays, right? Is that who plays? Yeah, Anna Torv plays Tess. Yeah, I think she does a good job, and it's too bad that we don't get to spend more time with her. But of course, she's supposed to die, so she's gone. Now we're just with Joel and Ellie, and there's no relationship there, but you can see, there is, but it's a bad one. But we still have yet to see the interplay of what happens between them. So I think we'll see that gel more in the later episodes. So I'm interested to see that, and then on top of it, seeing what other monsters they portray in this show. So I'm excited to see it. I'm in hook, line, and sinker. I'm invested, and I hope it continues strong. So far I'm enjoying it. So I think you owe it to yourself to watch this show. I think it's right now the best show on HBO Max, but I haven't watched anything else. But for me, that's what I'm watching on HBO Max. But then again, I like to watch video game adaptations if they're good. I didn't watch the Halo one. That was on another network. I don't think I had. I think it was on Paramount Plus, and that was, from what I heard, pretty bad. So this is on another level. This is not that. This is much better. You owe it to yourself to check this out. So, okay. So I think that's my thoughts on the first 2 episodes of The Last of Us. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Keep in touch and stay safe, and I will be back again with something else. Have a good one. Bye.